Good morning, everyone. I'm in beautiful southwestern Montana. If you're familiar with the area, I'm sort of between Helena and Bozeman right now. And I'm hiking up this little hill here to see some horses. These guys right here, right on the horizon. You can kind of see some horsey looking shapes up there. That's where we're going. These are called Bleu Horses, and they're easily visible from the highway that's over here. You can probably hear the traffic over there. And I've driven past these horses several times and never gone up here, so I figured today would be the day that I do it. These were put here in 2013 by a local Montana artist named Jim Dolan. There are 39 horses up here, and none of them, or no two of them are the same. Each one is different. They're in different positions. Some of them are life-size, but I think I read that in general they're about a third bigger than they actually would be in real life. And they really do look real. Like walking through here feels like I'm walking through a herd of wild horses. It's really, really neat. They're all along the ridge here, all along the hillside. Again, in a variety of positions. Some are laying down, some are standing up, some are kind of walking. Again, I feel like I'm being watched. This feels very, very real. We've got big ones and little ones, mamas and babies. These are made out of metal and painted blue. Their manes are not metal. These are kind of fibrous. It's like a synthetic mop sort of deal. And then we have some fake fur here too. My understanding is that the artist moved to Montana as a younger man and spent his career here, and he wanted to give back to the people of Montana, and so he made these and put them here. I wonder why 39, why not 33, why not 45? 39 is a very specific number. What makes someone do 39 of anything and say, okay, now it's enough? I don't know, maybe that's just an artist thing. And the owner was looking for a place to put these things. He didn't have a good spot to put the horses, but then he was talking with the owner of a local, I think, bakery and deli and farming operation called Wheat Montana. There are a lot of wheat fields around here, and they volunteered this land for that use. So pretty neat, pretty neat. And look at this view as I head back to my car. These are the fields of wheat I was just talking about. Beautiful amber waves of grain, you might say. Beautiful snow-capped mountains in the distance. On a beautiful day. And here are the horses from the road, from the highway. You can see them on that little ridge there. And speaking of Wheat Montana and moving right along here, I am at the place itself, at the bakery and deli. I just went inside and I picked up a ham and Swiss croissant and a bear claw. And that was a pretty impressive bakery. They had just huge cinnamon rolls and donuts, like a cinnamon roll literally like the size of my head, just gigantic. And they had a giant maple pinwheel things, and I love maple bars, I love maple donuts, but I don't need pounds of maple donut. It was gigantic, so I didn't get it, got these instead. Let me finish these off, and then we'll head on to our next destination, which is about 15 minutes down the road. And on a full belly now, I'm going for another little hike. I'm in a state park, a Montana state park, which required an $8 entrance fee, which I think is a little bit steep, but this is called Madison Buffalo Jump State Park. I've been to, I think, at least a couple other buffalo jumps before in the western US, and these are places where Native Americans would basically herd buffalo over a cliff. So it was an easier way to catch and kill and process buffalo. And the most famous of these is probably in Canada. There's that one in Alberta called Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump Site. I think that's what it's called. And this one is just Madison Buffalo Jump Site. And it's about a quarter-mile hike from the parking area to this little viewpoint and pavilion with a ton of interpretive signs. But what I'm most interested in is hiking to the top of this thing and looking at the gap in the rocks. I think it's over here that is the exact spot where they drove the buffalo off. And it's interesting, to drive the buffalo over the cliff, there would be buffalo runners, so people dressed in hides to kind of disguise themselves and make the bison curious. So these guys would just run and the buffalo would follow. And so the runners would lead the buffalo, and then people on the side would have animal hides, and they'd be waving them and kind of scaring the buffalo and clumping them together more in a more dense body, and then they'd get herded right off the cliff. And this lasted until the 1750s, when Europeans brought horses to the Native Americans. Then once the Native Americans had horses, they didn't need to do that. They could just chase down the buffalo on horseback. You can see the parking lot back over there, and the little pavilion right there. I'm taking this trail to the top that leads along this ridge. Cool position for a trail. I like ridge top trails. I think this goes down, follows this ridge, and goes up and over and around to the top. I think I'm at the point now at the notch in the cliff where the buffalo went over, and actually I don't know if it's this little notch in front of me or if it's just this whole cliff here. Here's a look along the cliff band and looking down the cliff itself. It's about 20-25 feet tall. Not huge, but enough to do in some nervous bison. Anyway, there's this little gap, this little gash in the cliff, and there's a log across it with a sign saying restoration area and that it's closed. But apparently thousands of buffalo bones, just tons, literal tons of bones have been found by archaeologists underneath this cliff. There's nothing like that I can see from up here. The bison would have started out in the hills behind me here. Then again, they would have been herded this way. And there also would have been lines of logs and cairns of rocks and stacks of rocks along the way to, again, sort of funnel the animals toward this spot, toward the cliffs and the gap in the cliffs over here. And this trail, I think I can make a loop out of this. I don't know, there are some signs, I've seen some signs in various places saying that the trail is closed for restoration. So I don't know if this trail ahead of me continues on along the top of the mesa and then back down again, but we'll find out. We have an old trail here. Looks like snakes are allowed on the trail, but boots aren't. But this one, oh, you are beautiful. That's nice. This one does go down. But first, before we head down, I think I'm gonna take a break here, hydrate a little bit, enjoy the view, enjoy the beautiful weather. It's a beautiful place. And I just realized that my microphone, one of the plugs was unplugged a little bit. I don't know if that affected the audio quality or not. If so, I apologize, but I do my best. It's always something, right? And speaking of that other buffalo jump, of the one in Alberta, I was thinking about the video that I made earlier this year. So at the start of every year, basically, I make a video saying what my plans are, what I'd like to do during that year. And this one, I had a bunch of things listed. I was gonna go possibly to Alaska. I was gonna go to Canada for the first time. I was gonna go to the Southeast. I was gonna go to Northern California. I don't think I've done a single one of those things. It's been a crazy year. Lots of home renovation stuff going on. Just lots of stuff going on. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, I've had a great year and done a lot of really cool things. I'm happy with the places that I've gone, happy with the videos that I've made, but I need to get better at either making better plans or being better at sticking to my plans. I did just renew my passport, and so you know, Canada's going to happen one of these years pretty soon. Maybe next year is the year I go do some adventuring in Canada, but not this one. It's very warm. There's snow on the mountains here, but in the valleys and the lower hills, it's just gorgeous. Sunny, quiet, warm, with a belly full of pastries. Doesn't get much better than this. Welcome to the next adventure of the day. This beautiful river that I've been first driving along and now hiking along is called the Madison River. You may have heard of this river. It is one of the more famous fly fishing rivers in the country, I would say. This river is known for its plentiful and large fish, and it's just beautiful. I love hiking along moving water like this. I've driven to the end of the road, and I've now entered a wilderness area, so it'll be nice and quiet. No vehicular access, just a trail leading upstream. While I was planning this trip, I was looking at a website that had a map of all of the country's national recreation trails. And when you hear that, when you hear National Recreation Trail, it sounds like it'll be just like big, pretty serious trails like the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail. But it has trails that are only a few miles long on it too. And this particular trail, I think, is 9 miles each way. It's just a one-way trail. It's not a loop or anything like that. I'm just gonna do 3.5 miles out to a creek and then 3.5 miles back. And there's nothing in particular that I wanted to show you guys about this hike. Like, it's not like there's no historical site along the way. I don't think there's any particular like one rock formation that's really cool that I want to show you. I just wanted to go for a leisurely hike in a beautiful place. Today is turning out to be kind of a low-key day, low stress, low-key, and we've already gone on like a 3-mile hike. That's what that loop at the Madison Buffalo jump was. And this will be 7 miles round trip, and so a nice, easy 10-mile day with just some beautiful scenery. I love having the sound of the river to the side of me here. It's just a beautiful backdrop to a beautiful place. I'll put a link to that website that I was looking at that has the, I think it had a map of all of the national recreation trails on it. So I'll put a link to that down below in the video description if you're interested, if you want to find a trail that's close to you. And this trail and this hike, by the way, is called Bear Trap Canyon. And about an hour and a half after leaving the trailhead, I've reached the turnaround spot. I just crossed that creek, Bear Trap Creek. Got a beautiful riverside spot to relax and take a break. Great hike, really nice, beautiful scenery. Again, the sound and the visuals of the river here is always great to have next to you as you're hiking. There's a little bit of wind to keep me cool. And it's just an easy hike, you know, no crazy ups and downs, just straight hiking alongside the river. Really enjoyable, really peaceful. Just a nice afternoon of hiking. Let's see, I've been hiking for an hour and a half, distance 3.94 miles with 64 feet of elevation gain and 34 feet of lost elevation. Like I said, not a lot of ups and downs. And to celebrate reaching the turnaround spot, got some teriyaki beef jerky and some mountain trail mix. I don't know what makes this mountainous, but looks tasty. Gonna sit here and relax and enjoy the view, enjoy the sights and sounds a little bit. And then I'll just retreat, head back to the car, and go find a campsite. So I'll see you guys somewhere up the road, down the road, at a nice campsite in the mountains. You know, the goal of today for me was to just enjoy being in southwestern Montana, basically. This is one of my favorite parts of the country. I love southwestern Montana, I love western Wyoming, and I love southern Utah. Those are probably my top three. And I think I accomplished my goal today. It was, again, a pretty chill day. But it was nice to just drive around and see the mountain ranges and not see too many people and enjoy some beautiful scenery and just have a good time. I really enjoyed it. You know, I'm not the... Sorry, there are mosquitoes around. It's a little bit late in the season for there to be mosquitoes. I don't know why there are mosquitoes here. Probably because it was a wet year. But anyway... You know, I'm not the kind of person who goes and sets up camp and spends days or a week there just hanging out at camp. I don't enjoy doing that. That's not really my style of relaxing. I like to be actively relaxing. And what I did today is kind of an example of that. You know, give me a mellow hike, give me some beautiful scenery, give me some rivers and mountains, and I'm good to go. So had a great time today, but let me show you my campsite here. I'm in the mountains about 15 miles south of Helena, which is the capital of Montana, so sort of between Butte and Helena. Beautiful green campsite, beautiful mountains, nice quiet spot in the trees. We were actually going to move to this part of Wyoming. My wife and I had planned for the last few years to move to Butte. We really like Butte, it's a cool city. But my dad passed away last year and my mom lives in Salt Lake, and so we wanted to be closer to her, and that pushed us more toward western Wyoming, we're about 3 hours from where she lives. Here we would be like 7 or 8 hours, so much closer to mom, and we made the right decision, but it still hurts a little bit. I really love this part of Montana, and it's good to be back. It's good to be back, and I hope you guys enjoyed being back also. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.